After watching this movie, I need to put out a public service announcement to all of my students who watch my reviews. Don't study abroad. Never go abroad. Ever. And drive out like 4 hours to this weird, desolate area where there's no cell reception and no one knows you're going out there. And there's this huge cult community. Don't ever do that. Bad things will happen. Don't ever go there. Don't ever leave. Stay here for as long as you possibly can. Never leave this country. And also, if you don't want to be in a relationship, get out of it. Don't drag it out. Midsommar, however you pronounce it, released in 2019 and is directed by Ari Aster, whose other directing credit is the horror film Hereditary. So, big two grand slams out of the park with his film directorial career. Son of a bitch. And this movie is starring Florence Pugh, who is becoming one of my favorite up-and-coming actresses because she is so dang good. Midsommar follows a group of idiotic teenagers who, on their summer vacation, take a trip out to the wilderness of Sweden where they visit a native community. However, as these idiots stay here, they realize that there is something very cultish about this community, and when they try to leave, oh, they cannot. And on the surface, this movie promotes itself as a cult horror slasher film, but when you go in to watch it, it's really anything but that. Is it about a cult? Oh yes. Do they do cultish things? Absolutely. But in terms of like a horror slasher film, not at all. Actually, in terms of the gore in this movie, there's actually very little. The horror of this film is very psychological where we're looking at the character of Danny. At the beginning of the movie, before the opening credits even roll, Danny goes through a terrible, horrible tragedy that happens to her and her family. And we also see the seeds planted of this terrible, toxic relationship that she is in with her boyfriend Christian. It's not abusive in any way, but you can tell that they just aren't happy with each other and they want to break up. But once this tragedy happens in her life, the couple actually ends up staying together out of necessity. She's really trying to make it work. He is really trying to get out of it and just wants to go off for a summer in Europe with his college buddies. But because of this tragedy, he invites her along, thinking that she's going to say no, when in fact she says yes and actually accompanies them. And how many people out there know a couple or are a couple like this? To me, that is the most impressive thing about this movie. Yes, we have all this creepy imagery, we have beautiful cinematography, which I'll talk about here in a second, but at the core of this movie, it's a breakup film. A breakup film to the maximum degree. We see a couple where one person is kind of just a shell of themselves, and they don't know what they want out of life. They don't know themselves enough to know better to get out of this relationship, and then the other one wants to go and sow all of his wild oats and wants to be rebellious and adventurous because he's young. He should be able to do that. And this film dives into the hardships of that, and it also dives into the ways that we grieve over terrible situations in our life. And it explores what we need as people dealing with a terrible tragedy that happens. And note to self for all of you couples out there, if a tragedy happens to your spouse, emotionally be there for them. Because you can tell at the beginning of this movie when this tragedy happens and she is just bawling on the couch, he is there, he's comforting her because that's what he should do and that's what he's supposed to do, but there is nothing here. Be emotionally invested, or else you'll be put into a bear suit. Bad things happen. You can't already tell, I love the story, I love the plot, I love these characters that we have. Are they idiotic? Yes, this is a horror picture, so of course, these characters going off into Sweden in the middle of nowhere, they have no idea, they have no relationship or connection to anyone out there, so in case if they got, hurt or they got into trouble, they have nowhere to go. But aside from that, this movie is beautifully shot. When you think of the horror genre, typically you think dark. You think nighttime, because when the slashers come out, when the serial killers come out to kill, they do it at nighttime because they can't be seen. Not so with this movie. This movie is almost entirely shot during the day, and it is gorgeous. The use of colors when it comes to the costume design, the set design are beautiful to look at. And the landscapes that are captured on screen look like paintings. And they don't shy away from it at all too. You see very little close-up shots with this movie. The majority of shots that we see here are shot with a wide-angle lens, which makes the characters seem very far away, but the dialogue, of course, sounds like they're right up close to us. It's very unique. I've never really seen that happen before in a film where everything is shot really far away, but it made it so intriguing. I was on the edge of my seat. Typically with film, you connect yourself with the characters because you can see their facial reactions and the look in their eyes when they're delivering dialogue or they're receiving dialogue. But because they're so far away, the reason why I'm intrigued is this entire plot, this entire film is just intriguing to me. This movie is beautiful, it is very powerful. I love the message behind this. It deals with grief, it deals with terrible relationships and toxic relationships. It's really about female empowerment as well. There are a lot of asshole men in this film that, well, eventually get what's coming to them. Are they terrible people? No. But they're assholes. And it takes a lot getting to that satisfying ending. This film, it's very slow. The first real, shockingly gory part doesn't happen till, over an hour in. In that first hour, I saw myself on the edge of my seat, just screaming at the screen, telling these people, don't go to Europe! What are you doing? You stupid, stupid, stupid! I have my hand on my head like this, just thinking, that's something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen with that guy. Something's gonna happen. God, why do you guys keep walking towards this village? The movie is unsettling, but it's unsettling in a good way, and in a way that I think everyone should experience it and watch it. I'm gonna give Midsommar 4.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I think I see blue. He looks glorious.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part in my videos where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next. The next one comes from one of my subscribers. I would list her as my best friend in the entire world. She's also my wife, Tammy Snyder-Knudsen. She recommended A Marriage Story. It's a movie on Netflix that she saw one day when she stayed home from work when she was sick, and she absolutely loved it, immediately recommended it to me. Why my wife is recommending a movie about a couple going through a divorce, I don't know. But I've heard nothing but great things about it, in particular with Adam Driver, so I'm very excited to see it. Thank you very much, Tammy, for the recommendation. I love you very much. If any of you have recommendations of films that you want me to review on here, please leave a comment below this video, or go to my Facebook page, my Instagram, or my Twitter. Leave your recommendation there, and if I have access to it, I will watch, review it, and give you a shout out on the channel. So guys, have you seen Midsommar? What did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before, and you stumbled across it because of this video, please comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And if you like what you saw here, if you like my take on movies, then hit that subscribe button. It helps us out with growing this community of Caleb Watches Movies. And if you have friends, if you have family members that love hearing people talk about movies, about bashing on movies, gloating on movies, send them over here, hit the subscribe button. I guarantee they'll like it too. And remember, if we hit 1,000 subscribers, which is my goal for 2020, once we hit 1,000, I will reward everyone by recording myself watching Arachnophobia, which is a movie that scares me to death. I haven't seen it since I was a little kid. I have arachnophobia, so me recording myself watching it is going to be very entertaining for you. Not so much for me. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of A Marriage Story. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.